How'll do, everybody. So I've got another interesting story here, and it kind of, to a sort of certain degree, links in with what I was talking about in the video yesterday in regards to Justin Welby and various crimes in the UK being covered up for years, sometimes even decades. Well, this one's from Canada, and it's just to show you that this isn't happening only in Britain, but is actually a problem that seems to be happening across many, many Western countries. So we'll get into this. This has only just been come out on the 12th of November. It's only a couple of days old at this point, this story. This is an exclusive for this paper. I'll put a link below for you to read it yourself. But this dates back to 2018, so this has obviously been hidden, I guess. We'll find out as the story goes on. I've only had a quick flick through the first sort of paragraph, so I don't know the full details, but hopefully we'll get into that as the story unfolds. So anyway, here's the headline. Exclusive. Female inmate assaulted by Canadian transformer child interferer in women's prison sustained broken ribs. Eyewitness reports. I'm just being careful with my language, obviously, because it's on YouTube, especially at the beginning of the video. So I don't want the video getting flagged straight away by the algorithm and getting binned off. So I may be doing a little bit of wordplay just as as I'm reading through it. An eyewitness has come forward to reveal that a transformer-identified male child interferer brutally assaulted a female inmate while housed in a woman's prison in British Columbia, Canada. The woman sustained broken ribs during the horrific attack. So you've got a man going into a woman's prison and is then assaulting the women in there brutally, by the sounds of it, obviously by breaking ribs. Adam Labucan, who is Canada's youngest dangerous offender, was handed a rare indeterminate sentence after being convicted of a violent inserting parts of his anatomy where it shouldn't be going, of a 3-month-old infant. Yes, you heard that right. Not 3-year-old, 3 months old. 90 days. Sometime in 2018. I mean, to me, that is shoot him. Just shoot him. There's no need to keep that man alive. And that is a man, by the way. I don't care if people go, he identifies as a woman. I don't care. That man needs shooting. And it's not even, people go, torture and put him in the wood chipper, all that, you got to make him suffer. No, just quick, efficient. It's not even about revenge at that point. It's like a dangerous dog. Put it down, burn the body. Don't even give it a grave. Just bin it, gone. You no use to man the beast. Maybe you use his ashes as fertilizer. That's about it, really. So anyway, sometime in 2018, Labucan began to identify as Transformer and changed his name to Tara D'Souza. It was around this time that Labucan was transferred into the Fraser Valley Institute for Women, FVI, at Abbotsford, which featured a unit for mothers and infants. Yes, everybody, that is correct. A man who has forced himself onto a 3-month-old baby, that was my device, not yours, onto a 3-month-old baby, has then been put into a women secure facility where there are mothers and babies present. I am not making that up. You cannot... if that was a script in a film, people would call that unbelievable for how actually insane that is. And whoever signed off on that needs to also get executed. This is absolutely unforgivable levels of gross negligence on these people who are supposed to be... Now, don't get me wrong, prisoners need to be punished. When people commit crimes, you punish them. But you don't let predators in with women and their babies in these secure units. That is unforgivable. Totally unforgivable. And it's crap like this is why Donald Trump has just recently won in America. And half these lunatics can't seem to understand that people find this unforgivable and just totally beyond the pale. And it's just crazy. This just should never, ever happen. There was an old TV show in the UK on Channel 4 called Brass Eye. Quite funny. And one of the episodes is like a mock news show. And every episode would be based around a particular theme. Anyway, one episode is about paedophiles. It's called Pedogeddon. I suggest watching it. I mean, at the time I thought it was hilarious, but I watch it back. And it's like the jokes aren't jokes anymore. Like one of the jokes is, the American court ordered that a paedophile get shot into space to live in a space station for the rest of his life. Unfortunately, what they didn't realise was a 9-year-old boy was also in there. NASA responded, this is the last thing we wanted to happen. You know, it's just like really, really stupid stuff like that. But when you read things like this and you're like, wow, that is actually happened in real life effectively. You know, what was a joke in like the sort of 1990s is actually happened in real life. You know, like life is imitating art at this point. It's insane. The mother-child program at FBI takes place in a house comprised of facilities such as a shared kitchen, lounge and bathroom, as well as multiple bedrooms. It is situated within a compound of similar housing units arranged to look much like a neighbourhood. You can't make this crap up, can you? So this guy's going to be able to walk around freely and just have access to these. I bet. I wouldn't be surprised if he was inappropriately sort of like stroking himself and leering and lecturing at the kids. You know, I genuinely would not be surprised if that was happening, and people would have been too scared to say anything, like as in like screws or guards, you might call them in other countries, to actually say anything because they were too scared of being called a bigot or a transphobe or some crap like that. And this is what I was talking about with Justin Welby yesterday. People are more concerned about their careers than they are about doing the right thing, and it is pathetic. Well, no, pathetic is not even the right word. It's treasonous, is what it is. These people are failing in their duty to carry out their duty. The duty of care of their job. You know, this should be court-martialable offences. You know, like these people should be taken into military course. When you're working for the government, in my opinion, you should be eligible for court-martial, even if you're not military. You know, so if you work in local council and you cock up bad enough, guess what? You're not going normal court, you're going court-martial. That is what should be happening with these people. As previously reported by Redux, Labukan had been observed, leering at and making aggressive remarks towards the children at the FBI mother-child unit, leading to anger and concerns from a female inmate. So predictable. That is so obviously what is going to happen. That's like leaving, I don't know, a steak on the floor when you've got a dog, and leaving the room and expecting it to still be there when you come back in the room. No, the dog's going to eat it. Of course it's going to eat it. It's like leaving a sandpit in your front garden and not expecting cats to crap in it. Of course they're going to crap in it. It's what they do. You've got a nonce who's actually assaulted a 3-year-old baby. Of course he's going to be trying to predate on babies in a secure unit if he has access to them. It is so goddamn obvious as to actually be it's almost comic. If it wasn't so tragic, it'd be comical. It's infuriating. It's maddening. Like, genuinely, whoever's allowed that should be beaten, like flogged. Genuinely flogged within an inch of their life. Just absolutely no excuses for that. None whatsoever. And I don't care what bleeding heart excuse people come out with. You need a damn good thrashing, really, for that sort of negligence. Just disgusting. Those people really do make me sick to the pit of my stomach who make those sorts of decisions. Like, they have no place anywhere operating with any sort of decision-making capacity in civilised society whatsoever. Those sorts of people. And they should be shamed and hounded out of those sorts of jobs in a legal and lawful manner, I mean, by the way. Not by mobs turning up and doing that. We're very clear on that. This has to be done legally and lawfully. Redux spoke with women's rights advocate Heather Mason, herself a former inmate, who had been documenting instances of trans-identified males being transferred into women's prisons in Canada. So this isn't a one-off by the sounds of it. This seems to be a recurring theme that seems to be happening. And there's probably going to be a lot of skeletons in the closet of ladies being severely assaulted by these mentally ill men who are more than likely claiming to be trans just so they can get access to future victims. Mason has been instrumental in bringing to light several cases of violent male criminals abusing or antagonising incarcerated women. Well, there we go again. It's just so obvious that was what that was going to be following shortly afterwards. What was just put there. You know, it's like reading the alphabet. You know what's going to come after A, B, C, and D. It's just so obvious. It's boring at this point. Like, there's just no surprises with this sort of stuff, is there? Like, how anybody could think that this would not be the result is either stupid or is a liar. Like, one of the two, and either person should not be involved in making these kinds of decisions. According to Mason, Labukan would stare in the window of the mother-child house and always be loitering. Or loitering is the polite way of putting it. I'm pretty certain he was probably doing a lot more than just loitering. A situation which caused the women to feel anxious and afraid for the safety of the young children at the mother child. Absolutely. I mean, the screw should have been filling him in anyway. They should have, they should have been taking him to blind spots in the prison and battering him. Accidentally giving him a nudge down the stairs. Oh, sorry, pal, you fell down the stairs. Aren't you clumsy? You're a clumsy boy, aren't you, falling down them stairs like that when your hands are handcuffed behind your back? In 2008, I shouldn't actually promote that violence. Screws should not be committing violence, by the way. But I would have absolutely no sympathy if the Screws did decide to engage in that sort of rough justice. I genuinely have no sympathy at all for a man like that, none whatsoever. And I do think that should be legal and lawful for Screws to do, by the way. Like, predators like that who've done that to a 3-month-old child, I absolutely think he should be beaten every day by the guards. I genuinely do. Like, I think that should be allowed to happen. In 2018, soon after he was transferred to FBI, a female inmate responded to Labuchan's disturbing behaviour by defending another woman and her baby, demanding that he desist in his threatening conduct and calling him a paedophile. Well, call a spade a spade. It was at that point, explains Mason, that Labuchan picked her up, threw her, and then charged at her once she was on the ground and continued the assault. What a surprise! A man who's willing to actually insert parts of his body into a 3-month-old child will viciously assault vulnerable women as well. Who could have seen that one coming? My God, that's such a surprise. That could never have been seen to have happened, could it? Nobody could ever predict that would happen. That an unhinged man that would do that to a 3-month-old baby would also be willing to attack viciously women in a prison. Maddening. After prison guards intervened, the female inmate who had been attacked was punished by being placed in segregation for inciting his assault against her. This is despite the fact that she had suffered from multiple fractured ribs. This story is the gift that keeps on giving in just how ridiculous that is. Like, you've literally got a woman going up to a nonce and telling him to stop behaving in a noncy manner, which is right, by the way. That is not her inciting. That is the right thing for her to do. And this is why the Screws will have not been doing anything. It's why the Screws will have been stopping him from being a nonce and perving through the windows, because they know that they'd lose their jobs. Like, this sort of crap is unforgivable. And everybody who's been involved in creating this environment of thinking needs hounding out of civilised society via legal and lawful means. This is unacceptable for this to be happening. Those guards should have gone over and smashed him round the back of the skull with a hickory stick when he was perving through the window and told him to F off away from the babies. Like, they should give him not a single millimetre of any sort of respectability or leniency. Like, that is all he deserves. Suffering and pain for the rest of his life. Misery. That's what he deserves, what he's done. Completely unforgivable. And yeah, people might say, oh, you're a Christian, you should turn the cheek and be forgiving. Not my job. That is not my job is not to forgive. My job is to try and be a better Christian. And that is what I will try to do. But unfortunately, I'm afraid I'm going to have to fail on this one, and I'm going to have that conversation with God when I meet him. Speaking to Redux, a witness to the assault recalled the incident. She actually had broken ribs. It was on the inmate committee, or I was on the inmate committee at that time, and the guards wouldn't do anything except blame the woman for instigating the fight because she called Tara a nonce, or paedophile, but a nonce. The inmate, who will be referred to as Angela to protect her privacy, says, I talked to the warden and said, this is a proper term that Tara will be referred to in the public. So why is it okay for Tara to beat this woman for it and have no consequence, she said. Angela, you can't make this up, can you? This is gaslight. This is actually gaslighting these women. These women are actually being, don't get me wrong, prisoners shouldn't have an easy time in prison, but you don't gaslight them like that. You be firm and fair to try and rehabilitate them. You don't, unless they're a nonce, like that guy. Like, he's not a human being as far as I'm concerned, though. I'm talking about human beings here. That man is not a human being as far as I'm concerned. And I will have double standards. I'm quite happy to maintain double standards, by the way. I don't care if people try and be like clever about it. Not interested. Angela decided to come forward to confirm the attack, which had previously been vaguely cited in an April 2018 parole board decision denying his appeal for release, according to the Toronto Star. Labuchan was found to be unable to manage his anger after he flung another inmate by her hair, then kicked her in the face. The decision referred to Labuchan with feminine pronouns. Infuriating. A man that's done that to children. and to a woman in a prison, and they still play this stupid game. F off, seriously. Like, these people, they need a serious smack around the side of the head. Like, genuinely. Like, honestly, we need to go back to, like, the Roman times or something. You know, there was I can't remember who he was, but there was an emperor. Long story short, there was a judge who basically tried screwing over the people of the empire. I can't remember the full story. But basically, what the emperor did was he had him skinned alive, and then he used his skin to make a chair that other judges that were making similar decisions to him had to sit in as a reminder, do not act in a corrupt manner. Like, I do not see a problem with that. That is how you deal with these kinds of people. Unfortunately, human beings aren't these super sophisticated, eloquent things that we think we are. We're still primates. And we need to get back some of that rough Roman justice that we used to have in society. Maybe not going as far as skinning people alive and turning the skin into leather to make a chair out of. Possibly not, but certainly flogging and hanging. I definitely think we need to start going back to that. Because these people who have allowed these sorts of crimes to happen to some of the most vulnerable people in our society, and prisoners are vulnerable people, by the way, because we've got them locked up in cages and they're under watch 24/7, and the guards can't abuse them if they want to. So they are vulnerable people, whether we like it or not. Even though some of them are very dangerous, they're still in a very vulnerable position. So we still have a duty of care to a certain degree with them. When people are allowing predators like that into a prison with women and babies, knowing exactly what he is, those people are beyond redemption as far as I'm concerned. They are just as guilty as he is for his crimes that he's committed as far as I'm concerned. And they should be hung. They absolutely should be hung. And he should be as well. So anyway, where were we? So the board found that you have experienced negative integrational effects as a result. Additionally, the parole board had sympathetically highlighted Labuchan's indigenous heritage as a mitigating factor in his violent behaviour. So now that what they're trying to do is they're taking away his own capacity to make decisions for himself. And this is what the Soviet Union used to do, by the way, when against political dissidents, was they'd get psychologists in to try and make people out like they were insane because they didn't agree with the Soviet mantra. And this is exactly what we're seeing today with this sort of crap, where you're getting these violent criminals and they're getting in so-called experts and they're coming up with all sorts of obfuscated crap like, oh, well, because he's got indigenous oppressed whatever, because of the white man or whatever, this goes towards he's committing violence and therefore he should be treated with different leniency. No, he's completely and utterly 100% responsible for his own actions. Unless you've got something like Down syndrome or something like that, that is just pathetic and infantilizing an entire demographic of people, like saying that they're not responsible for their own behaviour. It's just, that again is a form of treason as well. It's a horrendous way of managing society. And again, the people who are coming out with that crap need flogging for that. Like, it's just unacceptable for that to be allowed to happen. The board found that you have experienced negative integrational effects as a result and acknowledged the linkage between your involvement in the criminal justice system and a number of elements in society and family history, including your substance abuse issues. I'm afraid he's responsible for that. If he's going out and getting arrested, don't commit crimes. If he's had a problem with substances, he's the one who's been taking the substances. He's responsible for all of that. And that's the end of it. I'm afraid there is no excuses. And it doesn't matter if he's had the worst upbringing and a history of God knows what abuse throughout his entire life. He's still responsible for the decisions that he makes. And that's just the end of it, I'm afraid. And it's only when people start to accept responsibility for their lives can they improve and start moving forwards. That is just the basics of it, and there's no other way around it, I'm afraid. As part of his reason for coming forward, Angela recounted other incidents she had witnessed in which a different trans-identified male transfer known as Coco Tallulah beat a female inmate so horrifically that she suffered a miscarriage. Well, that should be classed as murder. This is just worse and worse and worse, isn't it? The assault occurred in 2020 and Tallulah was transferred back to a men's prison in 2021. So there's clearly a mentally ill man who just wants to go and abuse women. That is literally what he's done. He's played the game. He hates women, or he gets off on beating women, or whatever it is that it is around women. He's claimed to be a woman because he knows that the Canadian system's soft. And he's gone to a woman's prison so he can then engage in whatever it is that he gets kicked out of doing. That's literally what he's gone to do. And they played right into his hands. Right into the psychopath's hands. These people are stupid. Absolutely stupid. As a mother who had her child in prison, I feel that having all these sexual predators there with babies and kids is insane, like Tara. I fully agree with that. Well, it's not just insane, it's reckless endangerment, said Angela. He shouldn't be in a woman's prison. Maybe they could make a trans or gender neutral prison, but to put them in a woman's prison doesn't make sense. I'm not necessarily against that, to be honest with you. Have a prison for transformers, or a wing in a prison for transformers, to keep them separate from the men, but they should not be in a woman's prison. Not at all. She added, the violence that happens to women from these men in jail is ridiculous. It really is. The Correctional Service of Canada, CSC, doesn't do anything to stop it and blames the women as aggressors in almost every situation. Yeah, well, that's Justin Trudeau for you. There you go. They wanted Fidel Castro, so they got him. In 1997, Adam Labuchan sexually assaulted a 3-month-old baby boy in Queensel, British Columbia. Labuchan was 15 years old at the time and had been hired to babysit the child. The infant was so brutally injured by the attack that he had to be flown to Vancouver, 410 miles away, to undergo reconstructive surgery. Oh my God. He should have just been put down. Labuchan should have been put down. That man should not be breathing oxygen anymore. His body should just have been atomized by fire. That should just be the end of it. After committing the horrific assault, Labuchan mutilated himself and ate his own flesh. There's a healthy, stable person. And they've put this person in with babies and pregnant women. This again keeps getting worse. This story really does keep getting worse. During the trial, an expert witness stated that Labuchan displayed everything from transsexual to paedophilic tendencies. A forensic psychiatrist who examined Labuchan testified that even he believed himself to be a danger to the public. He said he was not planning a life of crime, but he felt he had no way to control the flood of violent, murderous fantasies. Dr. Ian Postnikoff told the BC Supreme Court. The guy's just completely beyond redemption. And, like I say, he should just be put down. There's nothing you can do with somebody like that. Put him down. The forensic psychiatrist said that he believes intensive treatment would be necessary. For what? For what purpose? What are they going to do? Release him so you can go out and rape more children and eat more flesh? Like what? That person's never going to see the light of day. What is the point of the treatment? It is wasted money. With the history and severity of the offences of Mr. Labuchan, it's difficult to say how long his treatment would last, he said. He's not a regular sex offender. I would say it will be a very long time, possibly years. I will be very, very concerned to hear that Labuchan will be released into the community in the near future. I'll be concerned if he got released into the community at all. According to a 1999 news report by the CBC, clinical psychology Dr. Steve Sigmund testified in court that when he examined Labuchan in 1997, the teen had also admitted to drowning a 3-year-old boy in Queensel in 1993. Labuchan was 11 when he allegedly committed the killing, and no charges were ever lodged against him because under the law, an accused must be at least 12 years old. This guy is absolutely Fruit Loops. Like, that is just somebody that you do just need to put down. Like, anybody who is against the death penalty, how could you ever be against that person not being put down? Like, there is no reason to keep him alive anymore. None whatsoever. Labuchan filed a request for temporary leave from Fraser Valley in order to attend a cultural ceremony in Vancouver hosted by the Circle of Eagles Lodge Society. I have no idea what that is. According to the Circle of Eagles website, their purpose is to support Indigenous brothers and sisters leaving federal institutions and those dislocated from society to reintegrate into community by providing respectful, holistic services and culturally safe spaces. Well, I think those people need a culturally safe space away from him, especially the kids. What's he going to do? Drown some more kids and bum them? Labuchan has unsuccessfully applied for temporary leave from prison several times, with the parole board deferring to his dangerous offender status. However, federal case managers have reportedly argued that Labuchan should be granted escorted temporary releases in order to help him move towards public reintegration. If I was a politician in Canada, I would be campaigning solely on stopping him from ever getting released from prison. That would be my entire campaign. Like that, I think would get you voted in, especially if you're in BC. I think people would back that 110%. Listen, guys, that's been an absolute roller coaster of a story. I did not think it would it get even more insane than what I knew at the very beginning of it. That is just wild, absolutely wild. That is a real thing that's happening in Canada. Insane. I don't even know what else to say other than that is just absolute madness. You know. Listen, guys, if you found that interesting, insightful, useful, any of that stuff, please do like, subscribe. You know, I try to find as many of these sorts of crazy stories as I can to make people aware, just so we know what we're up against in society. If you've got anything to say, please put comments below, whether you agree with me, disagree with me. I'm not a closed book. I'm willing to change my mind if your points are strong enough. But please, please, please do like, subscribe. As I say, put a comment below. Thank you for your time. Take care and goodbye.